All right, let's get it. We got another good one for you. Back again to bring you more fantasy football stuff. You guys got any good names for us to call this show outside of calling it like WGN fantasy picks or Hayes picks? Might go with Hayes picks. That's a little cool. But if you guys got anything, just let me know and we can end up rocking with that for the show. Want to dive right into it. Congrats to everyone that ended up winning their league last week. Congrats to those that end up winning their fantasy picks. The league picks that they did last week. I do a lot of my league picks in the DGen picks. So if you want to, if you're in crypto and stuff and you want to do that, feel free to dive in over there. We do it in a currency called Dust, which is a Solana based token. But I also use FanDuel and DraftKings. I'm about to make some of my bets tomorrow. As always, just gamble. Um, Smart, like don't just go wild with your gambling. Just have to get that out the way with everything. And last week, I'm in 6 different fantasy football leagues. So shout out to my D guys, shout out to my Vandals for everyone that's out there. Shout out to the people I've been in some of these leagues with for 5 to 6 years. I went 4-2 last week, which is not bad at all. Trying to go for either 5 or just run the slate with the whole league, well, all 6 of them. But we'll see how it ends up going. Just diving into everything and recapping what has happened so far. And I'll go over injuries and stuff of that nature too. So the big game that happened, some of these other games might be big, but the game that I was most excited to, because I had a lot of stuff riding on the line, was that Thursday night game between the Chargers and the Chiefs. I predicted that the Chargers would win, but the Chiefs won on that 1 yard line, 99 pick six that the Chiefs had. As you also notice, now Justin Herbert has a rib injury. He was struggling towards the end of the game with that one. He still made throws and he was able to hit Palmer, Carter, or Mike Williams. And that's something you guys should pay attention to as we go forward. If Keenan Allen is going to be out, expect Mike Williams to have a big game because that becomes his focus with that. Travis Kelce didn't necessarily have a huge game, but Patrick Mahomes had a good game because he circulated the ball to a lot of different players, had a lot of different receivers. The end score was 27-24. Justin Herbert finished with over 300 plus passing yards, had 3 touchdowns. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he had a lot of junk yardage or yardage late in the game, as they would say, like comeback yardage when it was short, intermediate throws where they had to get it down the field. So Patty Mahomes would go to him. Mike Williams had 8 receptions for 113 yards and 1 touchdown. Going into the games and just letting everybody know some things that everyone should end up seeing and focusing on as we go forward. So the first thing is Michael Pittman is out for the Indianapolis Colts for the game on Sunday. They will be playing the Jaguars. So look out for Paris Campbell, but also look for some of the running backs for the Indianapolis Colts to have a big game. That's one thing I wanted to end up bringing up to you guys. Always just pay attention when these injuries do happen. I'll try to update you all. Another one is Gabe Davis. He's questionable with the ankle injury, so pay attention to that one. Something else you guys should end up looking for is Damien Williams. He placed on the injured reserve with the rib injury for the Falcons, so that just opens up a little more of Cordell Patterson is going to continue to be that focal point for them. Although you could clearly see that last week, as we continue going forwards, you'll start to see that even more. Another one is Tyler Algier. He will get some work too. And just pay attention to how that ends up going with the backfield for the Atlanta Falcons. No, the other part I want to bring up is just letting everyone know and understand the receivers. So a couple of things you want to look for is the routes run for receivers, tight ends, or running backs. On the routes run, then you want to look at percentage of targets on those routes run, and then what ends up being the amount of targets they get. So leading target getters for week 1 was Devontae Adams. So Devontae Adams had 17. Travis Kelce is in second, but Travis Kelce is only in second because he played 2 games. So there was 2 games. He had 16 targets, and he's turned that into 172 yards. Devontae Adams is clearly ahead, so we know Derek Carr is going to continue to force feed him the ball. That way, he only had 1 touchdown during that game. Jamar Chase is tied for number 2. He had 16 targets. 129 yards and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp had 15 targets. Mike Williams had 14, but that's through 2 games. Austin Eckler had 14. Pay attention to Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett technically is averaging 7 targets per game through 2 games. So look for what he ends up doing going forward. He does have a touchdown. He has 125 yards. So if you can find him in any of your leagues, definitely pick him up. Michael Pittman Jr. has 13 targets and 121 yards, and he has a touchdown as well. So look for how that ends up going. The only one that has a fumble that you might have to pay a little bit attention to, although I'm not too concerned, is Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill has 1 fumble, and Deontay Johnson has 1 fumble. And then yards after catch, the leader right now is Austin Eckler, but Austin Eckler is a running back, so a lot of his is out the backfield, dinking dunks, and he can get that down the field more. So we'll see after week 2 how that ends up going. In terms of targets, I like my receiving running backs, well, the pass catching running backs. So the ones we have up there for it is Austin Eckler, Javonte Williams from the Denver Broncos. Javonte Williams had 12 targets his way, and that's pretty impressive. He turned those 12 targets into 11 receptions. So for anyone out there that has Javonte Williams, I continue to roll him out. Although it was 11 receptions and then it was 65 yards, if that's in PPR whole points, that's 11 points right there for you. So that's not bad at all. And then you also have Amon-Ra St. Brown from the Detroit Lions. He had 12 targets, turned it into 8 receptions. So that's kind of just rounding out your top 10. A lot of them are sitting at number 10. You have ties because it was 1 game. So that's kind of how it goes going into each game, and I'll dive into different people you should pay attention to. So with the Jets, Joe Flacco's still at quarterback, so we have to see if it's going to be Corey Davis or Elijah Moore or Garrett Wilson. Who knows how that's going to go? I've seen some people start to pick up Breece Hall instead of having Michael Carter. So look for some of those. Don't necessarily put all your eggs in one basket with that. The Browns, of course, you're going to roll out Nick Chubb. Jacoby Brissett's going to be looking, right now, it seems as though he's looking for Donovan Peoples-Jones. We will probably start to see David Njoku start to get some love. And then Amari Cooper. As the season rolls along, Amari Cooper is the main one I believe that you should still have on your radar for that game. I have the Browns in that one. The next game, Commanders and Lions. So before I keep going, the Lions are who I picked to win this because they looked pretty good last game. Antonio Gibson's going to do fine. Deontay Williams is going to do well. Williams, running back for the Lions, is going to do well. I'd still roll out both running backs if you have them. It's a game where they should be able to get enough work, both of them. Carson Wentz had 4 touchdowns. I don't think every game's going to be like that. And I was talking to some people. They have 3 wide receivers, and then they also have Logan Thomas. But you have Curtis Samuel, you have Jahan Dotson, and then you have Terry McLaurin. He only had 27 completions. I believe Curtis Samuel is going to get a good amount of work because of what Curtis Samuel did under Ron Rivera when he was with Carolina. Then it becomes, who's it going to be, Terry McLaurin, or is it going to be Jahan Dotson? I can see Terry McLaurin slowly starting to get weeded out a little bit, and Jahan Dotson and Carson Wentz as the 2 new people starting to develop a better chemistry. But I will say that Terry McLaurin will start to have good games here and there. I can see that happening. So people I'd roll out, Curtis Samuel and Antonio Gibson are the big ones. You can roll out, of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then the 2 running backs for the Lions. I would do with that one, but I got the Lions in that one. First time they've been the top dog in the game, and they weren't the underdog. Next one is Buccaneers Saints. I have the Buccaneers for it. All the receivers for the Buccaneers are injured. Julio Jones, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Pay attention for the Saints until Jameis Winston starts to get his feel for everybody there. Jarvis Landry should still have a good game. He had 7 receptions, 114 yards. That's what he's known for, those quick receptions. The other one that you have to pay attention to is Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas will continue to get that ball. We'll see how that continues to go going forward. Alvin Kamara, if he plays, there's a chance he might not play, but if he plays, you have to roll out Alvin Kamara every single time. Tom Brady are still rolling out. Leonard Fournette did well, but that's a good Saints defense. but you're going to roll out Leonard Fournette too. And then if they're playing Mike Evans, you're putting in, keep watching Julio Jones, because Julio Jones has been having a pretty good game. Last week he had a good game. Panthers, Giants. I'm going with the Giants. I'm pretty sure I chose the Giants. Yeah, I chose the Giants. So I'm gonna keep rocking with the Giants. They looked good last week. Saquon had 164 yards rushing. I gotta see another game before I say that Saquon is back. Robbie Anderson, you're rolling out. DJ Moore, of course, you're rolling out. Chris McCaffrey, he should get his legs back under him. Baker Mayfield only had 16 completions, and 5 of those completions went to Robbie Anderson. That's almost a third of the completions went to Robbie Anderson. Just let that sink in for you. I don't know what the wide receiver outlook is for the Giants, so I don't really want to harp on that. I hope Kadarius Toney starts to get more love. Patriots and Steelers. I have the Steelers in this one. Najee Harris is supposed to be playing, so you're of course rolling out Najee Harris. Pat Freiermuth had a good game last week, 5 receptions, 75 yards. Of course, put him out there. Don't trust any of the receivers for the Patriots right now. Ramondre Stevenson and Damien Harris are still putting out there until you start to see what they're going to do with that backfield. Of course, the talk was Ramondre Stevenson was going to get more love, but in the running game, it was 9 carries, 48 yards for Damien Harris. So we'll see how that ends up going over there. Deontay Johnson, I'm still putting out there each week. Mitch Trubisky should start to get it together even more. Colts, Jaguars, I have, who do I have for this one? Some of them I know, some of them, okay, Colts. I have the Colts in this one. Michael Pittman's not playing. So Matt Ryan did throw 352 yards last week, had 32 completions. Those completions have to go to somebody. And I think someone that might get some of the benefit of it is Molly Cox and also Paris Campbell. So look for those two to have good games. Jonathan Taylor at 31 carries. He's going to get a good amount of carries again next week. I'm not really worried about his workload going down anytime soon. Christian Kirk, they're going to try and force feed him. So Christian Kirk, you're playing. He had all that money given to him, so he got to come through every single week. Dolphins, Ravens, I got the Ravens. Tyreek Hill should do well, but the Ravens defense is looked good against the Jets. I don't know how much that's worth. You're rolling out Tyreek Hill, Joe Waddle. Pay attention to the running backs for the Miami Dolphins. Lamar Jackson, of course, you're rolling out there. I'm not confident yet starting Tua, but if that's your only option, you can start Tua Tagovailoa. Continuing going forward, I don't know what the running back situation is going to be like for the Baltimore Ravens. So what I would personally say is probably just hold off. The one I would trust is J.K. Dobbins if I did have a choice with the running backs, but J.K. Dobbins potentially is not going to be playing this week. He's a questionable one. Rolling into the next one, Falcons Rams. I have the Rams in that one. Of course, you're putting out Cooper Kupp. Coach McVay said that he wants to start giving Allen Robinson more love, so we'll see what happens to Allen Robinson. Roll out Darrell Henderson. I have like 4 good running backs, and I'm going back and forth between who I want to roll out. On one of my teams, I have James Conner, Derrick Henry, Antonio Gibson, and Darrell Henderson. And I really do want to start Darrell Henderson because he did really good last year, and I believe that'll continue to be the case this year. So if you have Darrell Henderson, roll him out. Cordero Patterson, after the news I said with Damien Williams, that should continue to support the notion of Cordero Patterson still going to continue to get more love. Matthew Stafford should have a bounce back game and do well in that game too. I also like the spread, but for the Falcons, Kyle Pitts, you're rolling out. You're also rolling out Drake London. I think Drake London's going to do well. I can't give it to you yet, but I'm starting to see like 3 to 4 rookies that are going to end up getting the Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Currently, right now, after 1 week, which is still early, it's going to be a rookie wide receiver. I don't hear any names, but again, it's still early to make that case. Seahawks, 49ers. I have the 49ers. I don't trust the wide receivers yet for the Seahawks. I think Geno needs to start continuing to get a feel for things. Rashad Penny had 12 carries, so you might be able to put him out there if you don't have a lot of depth. Elijah Mitchell's injured, so I'm starting Jeff Wilson. Deebo Samuel's going to get work as well, and that's all I'm trusting for the 49ers. Bengals, Cowboys, I have the Bengals. Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott is not playing, so that's all you need to end up knowing with that one. Joe Burrow's going to have a pretty good game. I know Jamar Chase is going to want to show out. So Jamar Chase, I'm rolling out. Joe Mixon, I'm rolling out. Got to see how the other receivers are going to be looking for the Bengals too. Hayden Hurst is someone I think everyone should pay attention to. Joe Burrow had 33 completions for 2 touchdowns, 338 yards. I can see that continuing to be the case. He has so many weapons to work with, and he could spread the field out. So I got the Bengals in that one. Texans Broncos, I have the Broncos. I need Russell Wilson to throw that damn ball more. Jerry Jeudy had a good game. He had 4 receptions for 102 yards, but a lot of that came on 1 reception. So you don't want to trust it every single day, but he did have 1 touchdown in that game. Russell Wilson threw it for 340 yards, but you would never know that Russell Wilson had 340 passing yards in the game. He did throw 1 touchdown, of course. It was to Jerry Jeudy. I want to see more from Portland Sutton as well. Going into your next game that you have the Cardinals and Raiders, but touching on with the Broncos again one more time, pay attention to the running backs for the Broncos. So you have Gordon and Williams. Williams did very good in the pass catching game. Gordon was the main running back. Running it, Williams did have that fumble. That was a big thing. And continuing forward, Damian Pierce, I don't think he's about to be the starter there. So it looks like it's going to be Rex Burkhead, if anyone, that's starting over with the Houston Texans. I'm always going to roll out Brandon Cooks as well. Next game, we have Cardinals Raiders. So with the Cardinals and Raiders, I, of course, have to go with Devontae Adams. You got to roll him out. Darren Waller, I got to roll him out. And then Josh Jacobs, he didn't have a great game, but we'll see what it ends up looking like this upcoming week. 2, going over to the Cardinals side, Kyler Murray, of course, you got to roll him out. I want to see which receivers are playing. If Rondale Moore is going to play or not. What happens with Zach Ertz, James Carter, you're putting out there. And we're kind of just waiting. When DeAndre Hopkins comes back, he's going to get those targets. So the rest of the players, the receivers-wise, they got to make their mark now so that they can have a chance when DeAndre Hopkins does come back. Next game, we have Bears-Packers. I'm going to go with the Packers. I think Aaron Rodgers will start to find that connection with somebody. And I also believe Christian Watson will start to get more opportunities. Christian Watson had that long pass that he dropped. I don't think that happens every single week. Another one is Robert Tonyan, the tight end. So watch for how that is. The running back situation for the Packers is a little weird. Don't know what's going to happen with that one. So I don't trust them both, but if you do, that's perfectly fine. And then going with the Bears side, I'm only trusting Darnell Mooney. Cole Kmet had a dud, but it was a rainy game, so that might change during the next game if it's not rainy. And it's not going to be a blizzard or like maybe 2 degrees yet in Lambeau Field. Titans, Bills, I got the Bills. I do want to see Derrick Henry have a good game. He had 82 rushing yards, which does seem like a lot, but for Derrick Henry, that's not really a lot. Josh Allen's going to ball out, so I'm, of course, rolling out Stephon Diggs. I would try Dawson Knox again. I don't think he's going to have 2 bad games like that. Gabe Davis is injured, so if Gabe Davis is injured, Dawson Knox will have a bigger game as well. And going over to the other side, Titans, the 2 main people you're looking at with this game are going to be Burks and Phillips. You're not really focused on Robert Woods at this point. So that's what I would do. So I'm rolling out Burks, Phillips, and Derrick Henry. If you have any of them, try them out. I think Burks is going to continue to find a role in that offense. Robert Woods is still coming back off his injury. And Vikings Eagles, I have the Vikings. I think Justin Jefferson is about to put in work again. And I don't know if the cornerbacks for the Eagles can necessarily handle that. Justin Jefferson had 9 receptions for 184 yards, 2 touchdowns. I could see him having another 100-ball game next week, although Philly is the favorites in that one. I personally don't think so. Overall, I hope the rushing game for the Eagles might have found something between Jalen Hurts running it and then Miles Sanders. All the running backs got a touchdown last week, but that's not happening again this week. A.J. Brown had a great game, and I think he'll continue to have a great game. And then Devontae Smith just seems like he's taking a backseat. Dallas Goedert might start to move up, but Jalen Hurts has to find a better rhythm in the passing game because there's going to be games where they have a safety over the top where they double up on A.J. Brown, and that's when we figure out if Jalen Hurts can take that next level and continue to go forward and find that second option that he trusts. One of the receivers are tight ends. So that's all the games for this upcoming week. I always try to make these quick and to the point just so everybody ends up understanding and knowing. As always, just want to clean up everything that I might have messed up on or forgot to end up saying. Make sure to follow us at We Got Next. Make sure to follow my channel, my spaces, or even me at Hayes, aka Shifty. Make sure to follow the homie, the one that keeps you updated all day, every day with college sports, especially Penn State. Got to shout out to the boys, Steven at Steven_Springs and at the Quick Slants. We try to make it just two homies just trying to make it in this world. So make sure to support us, like, subscribe, put them notifications on, flex with us all the time. Shout out to the 6 men and women that continue to rock with us. If you like this, stay tuned next week and let me know what you want to hear. I always try and do this, so we appreciate it. Love you guys as always. Catch you next time. Good luck.